different in the way that they use Facebook. I think Melbourne's not a Skydy city. It's a fairly understated kind of a place. So you know, and Facebook I think has a different place in Melbourne than it does in Sydney. That observation.
Yeah, I just wanted to take up that comment before, which I personally agree with. There was a great article that I read a couple of weeks ago that indicated that while overall web usage is still going up, non-social media usage is actually going down. So the old web is shrinking and may continue to shrink. I think that's particularly problematic, especially having just read a book called A Visit from the Goon Squad, which is a novel, in the last chapter of which it's set slightly in the future. People who are well socially connected are paid for comments, so there are cash for comments kind of implications as well. And I think both of those things are the collapse between content and marketing has some worrying implications, even though I think the best kind of marketing is good content. And personally, in my role, I'm always pushing for good content. I think good content trumps everything else at the end of the day.
Where are you from?
I work at the Wheeler Centre.
At the Wheeler Centre, yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
In terms of cash for content, the News of the World springs to mind. The dominant broadcast spaces, okay, maybe broadcast is the wrong word, I mean it in terms of having the loudest voice and shouting at people rather than there being a two-way thing. I think we're watching a whole range of hierarchical infrastructures now get questioned. I think that the model of the people at the top being the smart ones and everybody else being a muppet, hopefully we're seeing the end of that. I think we're looking at a much sort of flatter kind of community infrastructure now. There will still be experts, but those experts will also be a muppet at something else. And so that's how communities work, is that, you know, I might be a legal advisor to you, but you come and paint my house. It doesn't mean that one of you is smarter or better than the other, because you both need each other. And, you know, okay, that's not specifically related to the arts questioning, but...
That's all fair enough, but, you know, the News of the World story was broken by The Guardian, and The Guardian has come out looking particularly good out of the whole thing. At the end of the day, I go to The Guardian to be educated, and I think a lot of people do want to be passive receivers of information as well as active engagers in a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, there's both. I'm not, you know, as I said before, this really is not there is only